Hello everyone, this is Goblin in Green here to bring you your first episode of DC TV. I just recently got finished watching for my second time the first episode of The Flash. Gotta say for not generic, but a superhero origin story episode, it was very well done. Normally, with a lot of these origin tales, they get bogged down with doing kind of this bland, like, oh yeah, he got his powers and now he's a hero, there's your episode. But in this one, I felt there was more of a conflict being made, and the setup of the characters felt more natural than I think it would if you were just like, oh, here's your hero, got his powers, okay, nice, Flash, go. So, I feel like it was is a well-executed first episode. And the episode basically revolves around, the general, the first origin story for the Flash. Barry is working in the lab and gets struck by lightning and falls into some chemicals, as you do, because, falling in chemicals gives you powers, because it's just how it works. And he wakes up 9 months later in Star Labs, and sees like, oh my god, I haven't seen anyone in 9 months, blah blah blah. Goes and sees Iris, sets up this kind of a romance deal, where he finds out that Iris has kind of moved on, and now his boyfriend, and blah blah blah, romance blah. Don't really care about that. It's well executed, I just don't really, because it's always on and off with Barry and Iris, so it's like, it's expected. But they don't dwell on that too much, which is what I enjoy. They dabble a lot. They dabble a bit in setting up a super villain, which is always the best part of a DC movie or TV series. They set up the Weather Wizard. Basically, him and his brother were done with robbery. They got on a plane. They fly off. Particle accelerator goes off, and lightning hits them. And now they can, after the crash, I can control weather, because this is just how lightning works. But other than that, not too much, it's with getting powers, as a superhero. It can be anything. Like, Barry got speed by, again, falling into chemicals, getting struck by lightning, doesn't really, But that's neither here nor there. Anyways, so basically, this whole episode basically culminates with the conflict between the Flash and the Weather Wizard, and obviously Flash wins because he's fighting the Weather Wizard, and no one really loses to the Weather Wizard. The two biggest changes that I noticed to the Flash kind of mythos was, I guess, they're both extraordinarily minor, and honestly, they both do not really matter in the grand scheme of things. But they do mean, for the sake of the review and for the sake of finding differences between the comics and the show for literally no reason, the two differences are, I guess, normally in the very first origin of Flash, his mother doesn't get killed by Zoom; she just gets killed, which is kind of bland and boring. So I enjoy that they're going with a more New 52, more modern kind of spin on it. And the next thing is, obviously, the Weather Wizard doesn't have his little wand of weather or power, which is, it doesn't really particularly matter how they get their powers, but, the fucking Weather Wizard, no one really gives a shit. It's like, can he control weather? Yes, okay, there you go, Weather Wizard. I enjoyed the initial conflict set up between Barry and Joe. It was very well executed. I feel like it felt like, they had been dealing with a lot of this. Barry thinks the impossible is possible, and he's kind of rational. He has to see it to believe it. And I feel like that's a good conflict, but it is sort of stamped out when Joe does find out about the Flash. So there was some very kind of strong back and forth that Joe and Barry could have had, that they only had for a little bit, and it kind of gets destroyed when, Joe figures out that, oh, surprise, surprise, Barry's the Flash. The good things in the show that I think were very well done. First, the effects were very good. Like for TV standards, like those effects were pretty good. The running, the explosions, blah blah blah, tornadoes. It was really good for a television show, which is some like older television shows. You don't really get that effects. It's just kind of a dude on a string, or they have some kind of After Effects, lightning come out or whatever. But this one, it felt like way better. You could totally tell there was definitely a budget behind it. I liked how they handled the death of Barry's mother. Like they could have, it was very sad and somber tones, and the music helped amplify that, and it was executed very, very, very well. The cast was on point. I don't have an issue with anyone cast in this. I keep hearing a lot of people have an issue because Iris and Joe are black. Doesn't matter. As long as they are their characters, it shouldn't ever, 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 ever matter what color that they are. Can they play Joe? Can they play Iris? That is what's important. People get in this whole tailspin about race and whatever nowadays, and honestly, if they have executed the part well, and if they've done a good job, there's nothing to really complain about. It's essentially a lot of really hardcore comic purists are complaining, and that's I know I'm a bit late talking about this because obviously season 1 years ago, but it is really just stupid. But yeah, no, Iris and Joe perfectly cast. Barry Grant Gustin did amazing job as Barry. I liked that they did his kind of forensic kind of mind when he's talking, when he was looking at a tire tread, and he examined it just with his eyes. He didn't have anything. It showed kind of this on the screen representation of what he was seeing, like the length of the tires and how long the stride was and the width of the tire. It all seemed, he had a very analytical mind, and that was very nice to see in that character. I did enjoy the music too. The soundtrack to the first episode was very well done. It was very, 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 very lighthearted, which is called for with the Flash. He's a very lighthearted character. I mean, that's just how it works. But the soundtrack was good, and there's not really much to say about this episode. It's a general origin episode, setting up villains, setting up characters, and setting up subplots. So there's not really too much to pick apart here, because it's all just kind of setting up the dominoes for the next episodes. However, I will say the two scene there were two scenes in particular that were very cool to see. The first scene was obviously when Barry goes to talk to Oliver Queen about what he should do with these powers. Should he be a hero? Should he just be a normal guy? And of course, it's a TV show, so Arrow's gonna be like, totally go ahead, be a hero. I don't give a shit. Just go, run around, solve crime, that kind of thing. So it's more of a superhero kind of a pep talk between them. And another good scene was when it was the Flash, the actor who played the Flash, his name is leaving me, from the older television show, talking to the Flash of the newer television show. That was very cool to see. I loved the casting decision to make Barry's dad the older Flash, like the guy who played the Flash previously. The only two major issues I kind of had with this episode were the fact that Star Labs is shut down and there's still people working there, and they basically say all these government things, we can't open Star Labs. Then it's why are they letting people work there? Right? And in general, not a lot of the time Star Labs even closes down. It's usually up and running all the time. So it was kind of weird to see Star Labs close. I get why they closed it, but I also don't understand if it's closed, then why are there people still working there? And if there's all this government regulation that says it can't be open, then why would they let people work there? Another thing is there are two instances where Barry uses his powers in front of people. The first instance is when he uses his powers in front of, I think it's like a garbage man, and he sees this kind of flash coming through and into his truck, and he lifts up the garbage and sees a guy. You know, it's kind of a bit hard to buy that he wouldn't tell anyone that, hey, I saw this guy running at the speed of light down the alley and into my truck. Right? It's very, very weird not to see that. And the other one that really bothered me was when the Weather Wizard, I'm sorry, I can't remember his name, I'm just going to call him the Weather Wizard, when he is driving and, you know, Barry saves Iris, you know, like grabbing it, blah, right? And then he goes and runs after the car and gets in the car and blah, blah, blah. Like, I mean, you'd think Iris wouldn't, there's even a scene, she turns over and Barry's not there and he just whoosh, across the way. So it kind of makes, you know, it's kind of like, at the end of the episode when Joe's like, oh, don't tell Iris. It's kind of stupid that Iris wouldn't say anything, because she just saw Barry move at the speed of light, grab her, toss her away from a car, you know, go run to a car. 1 minute he's there, 1 minute he's not. He's all the way down the road fighting with the Weather Wizard. It's very plot holy, and it kind of makes Iris look a bit dense, you know, because like it's kind of clear cut there when she sees it. It's like, you know, who else can move at that speed? Right, you know, it's weird. You think you should ask questions, but she never does. She's kind of like, oh, yeah, I didn't, whatever, he just disappeared. So that kind of was a very questionable choice to me. It's also always questionable when they're always like, oh, don't tell anyone that you have these powers, because you know he's going to. Right? Joe's like, don't tell your dog, don't tell Iris, and tells Iris. What really? It's very weird. I know it's a superheroism, where you're not allowed to tell anyone for like the first however long, but there's already a bunch of people who know. Like, Joe knows by the end of the episode. Everyone at Star Labs knows who he is, so it's kind of like, you know, I guess it's just part and parcel when interpreting a superhero storyline, but that always sort of rubbed me the wrong way, especially when there's a scene that's like, yeah, she could clearly tell that Barry can move fast and stuff like that. But all in all, there were a lot of good moments in there. I loved when they were walking through Star Labs and you saw a cage ripped open and the name tag next to it said Grodd. That was awesome. See kind of a little thing with Gorilla Grodd. It gets established later, but we'll get there. I loved that they added Cisco Ramon as one of the scientists. Cisco Ramon is Vibe, obviously, and Caitlin Snow obviously is Killer Frost. So those were kind of great name drops for people who know the names of the people and their superhero / villain identity. It was very neat. All in all, I'd have to say, out of 10, the first pilot episode for The Flash, I would give it an 8 out of 10. It was very well executed, very well done, and my favorite quote in the episode is, lightning gives you abs, which is kind of a perfect kind of poke jab at superhero stuff. Oh, this happened, now I have abs. Oh, this happened, now I'm a super muscular giant guy. I love that line. It was very well done. As the runner-up would probably be Run, Barry, Run. You know, Dr. Wells says that. And, you know, it was good. Good episode, 8 out of 10. Recommend you watch the first episode, obviously, because you kind of gotta know what's happening. If you do already know a lot about the Flash, it might bore you. But they do set up some plot lines that you do need to know moving forward. Anyways, thanks for watching my video, and you know, I'll be back with Flash episode 2. I should be posting that soon. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. it really, really, really helps out. And you know, and that's it really.